When my mother was pregnant with my younger sister, I remember myself sitting on her lap and saying, "You need to name this baby Cassie, because that's my favorite dragon in Dragon Tales." And I remember my mom said, "Yeah, we'll totally consider that." And when my little sister was finally born, they told me that they named her Teresa after our treasured great aunt, and that we would call her Tessie, and that's still true. But I remember being very disappointed, despite the fact that I loved Aunt Teresa.
I remember the day my little brother was born. I remember that my grandmother took me to a pet store, and I thought I was getting a puppy because we were looking at all the dogs. And it turned out she was just trying to stall time before we were allowed to go up and see my brother. So I thought I was getting a dog, and then I got a brother, and it was pretty upsetting.
My birthday when I was in second grade, I believe, and my parents, who didn't really get along very much, took me out of school for the day, and they took me to the aquarium, and they got me these really bouncy balls that had frogs in them. Not real frogs, fake frogs. And then we went to Red Lobster after, and this whole thing just inspired a love of like oceanography. So much so that like one of the times that we went to the beach that summer, I decided to rescue a bunch of these tiny little crabs, except that I forgot they're supposed to stay in the ocean, so they all actually died in my jewelry box.
So when I was about 6 or 7, my dad took me to a Yankees versus Mets game at the Old Shea Stadium, and he sent me up from the seats in the middle of the game. He sent me up to buy a hot dog for myself. I'm 6 years old. He sent me up by myself, and I was online, and I was like, I want to make my dad proud of me. I'm going to buy him a beer. And so I asked the woman, "Can I get a beer?" And she looked at me like, "What? Are you, no, we can't sell you a beer, honey. Like, it's not how that works." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I walked back, and yeah, so I remember that very vividly, strangely, you know.
I was an avid reader even when I was like 5, and just reading through book upon book upon book with my brother. Of course, at the end of it, while I was just trying to get through books, he was just stacking them up into a tower and just knocking them all over. And I was just like, "Mom, Mike is knocking over all my books." Just sums up our brotherhood in a nutshell.
Kid, maybe like 3, me and my parents had a really tall kitchen cabinet in our house. And one day I was just crawling around, just chilling, hanging around on the kitchen floor, minding my own as a little toddler. And this massive cabinet, which is like maybe 12 feet tall, just started tipping, and it was headed right for my face. And then my sister saw this, and she was all like, "Oh man, I'm not gonna let my little brother die today." She just grabbed me by the hand and just yanked me out right in the nick of time. I'm glad for that.
One of the biggest fears I have is being abandoned. During my childhood, I had to grow up without a father and a family that just stopped talking to my mother as well as the rest of my family. So I know my mom went through a lot of struggles as well as my grandma did with my family. However, that abandonment feeling got passed down to me, and it's one of the things I've always been afraid of is being abandoned. And although this happened during my childhood, I live with it today.
When I was younger, I grew up ill, not really great with all of that medically, so I spent some time in the hospital. But I'd always have these musical therapists come in, and they'd bring tambourines and bongos, and they'd give them to me to play one day, and I'm always reminded every single, maybe year or so, and my grandmother tells me of this kid on the second floor of the hospital playing, all these nurses and doctors and guards and people just come to see me hit a bongo or two. It seems surreal, but I think it started me with music.
The experiences that I had leading up to this